Imagine this. You've invested months, maybe years, into a woman. You've offered your time, your energy, your very stability. You thought you saw the spark of loyalty, of something lasting. And then, without warning, she drifts. Your texts go unanswered. Your calls fade into echoes. You watch, impotent, as she flits from one man to the next, leaving behind fragments of your ego like shards of broken glass. It hurts, but it's worse than that, because you feel it isn't random. You feel, though perhaps you cannot yet name it, that there's a pattern. And there is. The more you try to hold her, the faster she slips. The more you think love alone can save you, the more she exacts the invisible toll on your psyche. Why is this happening? Because you are caught in the collision between your own biological wiring and the modern condition. You are playing an ancient game with ancient rules in a world that has rewritten them overnight. In this video, we will dissect the 7 types of promiscuous women you must avoid. The archetypes who exploit hypergamy, manipulate attachment, and erode the foundations of any man's stability. These are women who, consciously or not, are predators of the modern psyche. Understanding them is not cruelty. It is self-preservation. To understand the danger, you must strip away the veneer of romance. Look past the curated Instagram photos, the soft smiles, the whispered promises. What remains is the biological imperative. Humans are not born with morality as a governing force. We are born with drives: survival, reproduction, status. These are encoded in our DNA, forged in the crucible of the African savanna, tested through millennia of tribal survival. For women, hypergamy, the instinct to seek a mate of higher status, is not optional. It is encoded survival strategy. Your average woman, in ancestral times, ensured her offspring's survival by pairing with men who could provide resources, protection, and genetic advantage. Promiscuity was sometimes a strategy: diversify genetic risk, maximize offspring survival. This is not a moral failing. It is evolution. Men, for their part, are wired differently: drive to protect, to monopolize, to invest in offspring. But here's the rub: evolution is amoral. It does not care about your feelings. It does not care about your heartbreak. When a woman's sexual strategy conflicts with a man's investment strategy, chaos ensues. Modern society amplifies this collision. The archetypes we will discuss are extreme manifestations of these ancient strategies. Women who, consciously or unconsciously, weaponize the biological imperatives of both sexes against men who are unaware of the rules of the game. The first step in defense is awareness. Recognize that these patterns are older than civilization. Recognize that they are not personal attacks. They are the shadow self of nature. And then, perhaps, you can navigate them without losing yourself. The instincts that served our ancestors well now betray us. Hypergamy, promiscuity, and the biological drive for novelty, once tools for survival, have become weapons in the modern condition. Why? Because the world has changed faster than evolution can keep up. Social media, dating apps, and instant gratification have amplified the very impulses that were once subtle, calibrated, and constrained. Nature's checks and balances, scarcity, community accountability, reputation, have been removed. A swipe right or a casual text is enough to signal interest. 1,000 potential partners are a click away. The archetypal high-value male and selective female dynamic collapses under the illusion of abundance. The woman who might have been cautious in a small tribe now experiments freely, detached from consequences. The shadow of promiscuity looms larger than ever. Dark psychology explains the mechanics behind this. We are drawn to novelty, unpredictability, and reward, dopamine-driven hooks in the mind. These hooks are exploited mercilessly by both social platforms and human nature itself. The woman who thrives on attention, on validation from multiple sources, taps directly into these neural circuits, often at the expense of a man's emotional stability. The modern trap is subtle. It does not announce itself with obvious danger. It dresses as charm, flirtation, and even fun. But the result is the same as it was in ancestral times: wasted investment, eroded trust, and a fractured ego. Here is the bitter truth. No amount of romantic idealism can counteract thousands of years of hardwired survival strategy, especially when that strategy is turbocharged by technology. The only solution is awareness, recognition, discipline. To ignore the modern trap is to enter a game you cannot win. Here is the unvarnished truth. You cannot change human nature. You cannot rewrite millions of years of evolutionary programming with self-help quotes or romantic idealism. The hypergamous drive, the flirtation with novelty, the unconscious pursuit of validation, these forces will always exist. And if you do not recognize them, they will devour your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. The red pill is awareness. It is the conscious confrontation with reality. Do not delude yourself with illusions of control over others' impulses. Focus instead on mastery of your own. Build your competence, your value, your presence. Let these be the magnet that attracts women of stability and integrity, the archetypes who complement rather than exploit your nature. Remember, the world does not owe you safety, comfort, or love. Stoicism teaches that only through self-mastery, discipline, and clarity can you navigate chaos without being destroyed by it. The shadow of promiscuity is ever present, but it is not omnipotent. With vigilance, you can recognize the 7 archetypes we discussed. You can protect your resources, emotional, financial, and psychological. You can maintain sovereignty over your life. And when all else fades, the illusions, the attachments, the fleeting desires, there is one truth left. The only empire you can truly govern is yourself. Build that empire. Let no woman, no circumstance, no biological impulse dismantle it. Because in the end, the modern world is ruthless and nature is indifferent. But a man who knows himself, who knows the game, walks through it unbroken. And that is victory enough. The red pill is awareness. But awareness alone is not enough. Knowledge without action is a slow decay of the self. Evolution shaped instincts. Stoicism teaches control. But strategy bridges the gap. This is where the man asserts sovereignty, not through dominance over others, but mastery over himself. First, recognize patterns, not people. The 7 archetypes we dissected are recurring motifs in the human psyche. Women who exploit hypergamy, women addicted to attention, women who weaponize charm. They are shadows of survival strategies, not personal vendettas. When you see the pattern, you remove the personal sting. Second, cultivate scarcity in yourself. In a world of endless options, value is defined by what is not easily taken. Strength, competence, calm detachment. These are invisible currencies, yet the most potent of all. Women respond not to desire, but to controlled, confident presence. This is not manipulation. It is alignment with the ancient truths of biology and psychology. Third, invest in permanence where it matters. Build skills, wealth, character. Build friendships that withstand time. Invest in relationships that reinforce, rather than destabilize, your core. These are the stakes of the game worth playing. The rest, the fleeting. Attention, the novelty-seeking, let it pass. It is smoke. Finally, remember, desire will always collide with discipline. Nature will always whisper for indulgence. Society will always reward spectacle over substance. The man who navigates this world successfully does so with vigilance, with clarity, and above all, with patience. In the theater of modern chaos, there are no guarantees. Only strategy, only presence, only the empire of self. Stand there, unshaken, and let the storms of the world and the shadows of promiscuity pass around you. For in that calm, that mastery, lies freedom. There is a cost to ignorance. Not the immediate pain of betrayal, but the slow erosion of the psyche, the subtle corrosion of confidence, purpose, and clarity. Men who fail to recognize these archetypes of promiscuity do not simply lose women, they lose themselves. Their energy is fragmented, their ambition diluted, their focus clouded. The body may survive, the job may endure, but the spirit quietly decays. This is where shadow work becomes essential. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow self, the hidden, often dark parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. Every man has a desire for attachment, for validation, for fleeting pleasure. Every man has anger, envy, and fear. To navigate the modern sexual landscape without destruction, you must confront these impulses, not suppress them, but recognize them, integrate them, and redirect them. Ask yourself, where am I projecting my worth? Where am I seeking validation outside my control? Where do I allow novelty and chaos to dictate my emotional state? These questions are uncomfortable because the truth is uncomfortable. But only by facing the shadow can a man reclaim the sovereignty stolen from him by hypergamous cycles, attention addiction, and social illusions. The men who survive and thrive do so by internalizing discipline as armor. They make their decisions not from desire, but from principle. They know the cost of indulgence, and they pay it only when it serves their long-term empire. And the women who align with them are naturally drawn, not because they are coerced, but because the man is whole, independent, and unshakable. In the end, the hidden cost of ignoring biology and psychology is not heartbreak alone. It is a life half-lived. Shadow work is the antidote. Master it, and you are no longer prey. You are the architect of your destiny. Now we arrive at the final act. Knowledge without application is vanity. Awareness without discipline is weakness. If you have followed the path through biology, modern traps, shadow work, and stoic insight, it is time to convert understanding into action. Recognize the archetypes instantly. The promiscuous archetypes are patterns, not individuals. They repeat like motifs in a dark symphony. The attention seeker, the hypergamous strategist, the thrill chaser, the emotional vampire, the player in disguise, the social media siren, and the nomadic heart. Learn their signals early, because to be blind to them is to surrender your empire. Guard your investment, your energy, your time, your resources. These are finite. Do not scatter them across illusions. The world tempts men with novelty, excitement, and false connection. Discipline is knowing when to engage and when to withdraw. Your investment should build permanence, not fuel chaos. Fortify your selfhood. The Stoics were clear. Control what is within your power. Character, competence, patience, clarity. These cannot be stolen. Build them relentlessly. When a man is whole, external chaos becomes irrelevant. Desire may knock at the door, but the man inside remains unshaken. Use detachment, not cynicism. Detachment is not hatred. Cynicism is weakness masquerading as wisdom. Learn to observe without attachment. Let the patterns reveal themselves. Let the shadows show their face. This is how a man maintains freedom in a world addicted to distraction and validation. Create scarcity through mastery. In a world awash with options, value is no longer in desire. It is in control, presence, and rarity. Develop skills, wealth, and knowledge. Become a man whose time and attention are precious. When you do, the right women, the women who align with your principles, gravitate naturally, and the destructive archetypes cannot hold sway. This is the ultimate strategy: awareness, discipline, shadow mastery, and deliberate investment. Understand the game. Respect the biology. Navigate the modern traps. And above all, remain sovereign. Because in the theater of human desire, chaos will always exist. But a man who has mastered himself need not fear it. He does not chase illusions. He does not bleed for attention. He moves through the world like a storm that cannot be bent, a force that survives, endures, and ultimately transcends.